Do you want to know how to turn basic quilling shapes into this 3D quilling hat? In this video I will guide you through all the steps and show you everything to craft this beautiful hat. Without wasting any time, let's jump right into the quilling process. I recommend using 3mm wide paper strips to give this hat a delicate look. My strips have a weight of 130 GSM. Now let's dive into the first quilling shape. I will display the measurements for every quilling shape in the top left corner of this video. I roll the paper strip into a tight coil using a slotted quilling tool. Then slightly loosen it to shape it into a teardrop. After that, I apply some glue to seal the end of the strip. Next, I gently pinch one side of the coil to form the teardrop shape. You'll need 6 of these shapes. Then, apply glue to the tops of the teardrop shapes and arrange them in front of you to easily assemble them into a flower. To craft the center of the flower, I roll a tight coil using my fingers instead of a slotted tool to avoid a center hole. I will use this technique to craft more tight coils without center holes in this video. Once the coil is complete, place it in the center of the flower. I want to share a very important tip for achieving a delicate look. If you look closer at the quilling pieces, you will notice that their surfaces aren't smooth enough. You can fix this by rolling the handle of the slotted quilling tool over them, which will flatten their surfaces. The next quilling piece is a ring. I wrap a paper strip around the flower to craft it. After I've formed the first loop of the ring and fixed its position with glue, I can easily wrap the paper strip along it. Seal the end of the paper strip and it's complete. I will make larger ring coils like this in the upcoming steps, and the process will be the same. Now you need 6 tight coils without center holes, like the one I showed a few steps ago. Place them along the quilling pieces and craft another ring. Then arrange the tight coils to align them with the petals of the flower. And after that, make another larger ring. Now let me show you how to make quilling beehives. Leave a little bit of space on the strip and start rolling it. Then remove the slotted tool, turn the paper strip around, leaving the same amount of space, and roll the strip in the same direction as before. Repeat these steps until the whole paper strip is rolled into a beehive. Just a little tip at this point. Try to roll the paper strip very tightly, and the beehives will become smaller. Once the beehives are complete, place them into the gap between the rings. The next quilling piece is a ring coil. To craft this, curl the paper strip, apply a tiny bit of glue, and wrap it on the first ring size of the border body quilling tool. After that, remove the ring coil from the tool and seal the end of the paper strip. Once you got the ring coils, place them along the quilling pieces and make another larger ring. This time, the larger ring must have a thick outline, which means you have to wrap more paper strips around it. You also have to make 2 of these rings, and they have to be totally identical. Fill up the gap with small ring coils, and the upper part of the hat is complete. You can attach all pieces together and leave it like this to craft the upper part of the hat. But I want to take the quilling to the next level and attach all of these pieces on top of a foam ball. This way, the hat will be formed into a dome shape. I attach all the quilling pieces one by one on the top of the foam ball and use some pins to secure the positions. Then I apply some glue and press the pieces against the ball. This may take a little bit of time and could be difficult if you haven't quilled on the top of a foam ball yet. but it will be totally worth it. I also find it easier to attach the small ring coils to the large ring before adding all parts together. You still have some time to bring everything into the dome shape before the glue dries. In my opinion, this dome shape brings a much better 3D effect to the Quilling Hat. What do you think? As the upper part of the Quilling Hat is complete, let's move on with the lower part. The first quilling shape is a flat teardrop. Allow the coil to open up on a template board on a circle with a 10mm size. Take it out with tweezers and seal the end of the strip. The next step is important. Pull the center of the coil to one side and pinch the other side to form the teardrop. Then, pinch the whole shape to flatten it. Here is where the second large ring comes in. Attach the flat teardrop shapes with the curved side of them to the large ring. If you look closely at the teardrop shape, you will notice a twist inside of it. Pay attention that the twist is always positioned in the same direction for symmetry. The twist on the last teardrop I placed here is positioned in the opposite direction. Simply turn the teardrop shape around to correct it. Another very important point to pay attention to is that the number of teardrop shapes must be even. Otherwise, you will encounter problems attaching the next shapes. For example, I use 50 teardrop shapes in this part. The next shape is also teardrop, but with a slight difference. This time, allow the coil to open up on a circle with an 8mm size on a template board, and pinch it into a teardrop shape without pulling the center to one side. Now attach these teardrops to the previous ones and always skip the next one after you attach one teardrop. That's why it was important that the number of the teardrops for the first row must be even. Once you're done with the second teardrop shapes, attach ring coils between them. These ring coils are the same as the ones I've crafted using the border body tool before. The next shape is also made of ring coils. After you've formed the ring coil, pinch it on one side to get a hollow teardrop shape. Attach them with their curved side between the ring coils. The next quilling shape is a C shape. Allow the coil to open up on a circle with a 12mm size on a template board. Help it with your fingers so it can open up completely. Then pinch both sides without moving the center of the coil. Now you need the handle of the slotted quilling tool. Just press the coil against it to form it into a C shape. Attach these C shapes between the hollow teardrops. Pay attention that the tips of the C shapes are connected to the teardrops. Now you need some basic tight coils. You can enhance their appearance by using a pin to fix their center hole. I recommend doing this little detail to achieve a much better look in the end. After you have prepared all the tight coils, attach them to the C shapes. Here comes the next shape, a hollow diamond. Pinch the ring coil on both sides to achieve this shape. Attach them to the C shapes and to each other, forming a triangle. Pay attention on this step and place the diamonds precisely for better symmetry. And now you need more tight coils. This time they are larger than the previous ones, and you also need some tiny tight coils without center holes. Place the large tight coils between the diamond shapes and attach the tiny coils on top of the diamonds. When you're done with the lower part of the quilling hat, it should look like this. A fancy mandala with a huge hole in the center. But don't worry, I will cover the hole with the upper part of the hat like this. Therefore, I will roll some extra large paper strips into tight coils. To get an extra large paper strip like this, you have to cut it yourself. First, curl the strip with a needle tool, then gently roll it on the needle. Remove the needle tool, bring the coil into the right shape and seal it with some glue. Now I attach all these huge tight coils along the ring. That's why it was important to make the outlines of the last ring thicker than the other ones. But before attaching the huge coil to the ring, locate the end of the paper. It should always face inside the hat to cover it. While attaching, apply a little more glue on the huge coils than usual. Then attach them one by one to the ring. Pay attention that they are always placed where the small ring coils are connected with a large ring. Once you're done, let it dry for a moment before moving to the next step. Then apply glue on the coils, more than usual again, and place the upper part of the hat onto the lower part, connecting both parts through the huge coils and thick rings. Adjust the huge coils with tweezers so they stay totally straight. Sometimes it is necessary to apply some more glue to hold them in position. This was the whole quilling process of the hat, but to be honest, it looks a little bit boring. Let me show you how I decorated with a ribbon and some quilling flowers. I cut out this shape from an extra large paper strip. Then form it into a ribbon by applying some glue and wrapping a paper strip around the center of it. Next, I cut out a triangle from 2 smaller paper strips. For the next step, you need a paper strip that fits perfectly between the lower and upper part of the hat. Curl it with a needle tool and weave it through the huge coils. Well, I have to admit that this part was really annoying for me, because I had to be gentle and needed to pull the paper strip with some force at the same time, and this is something that I'm really not good at. Anyway, I had to pull the strip so it looks straight between the huge coils. Fortunately, I was successful and glued the parts together. Next, attach the 2 paper strips with a cut triangle and the ribbon to the hat. Now that we are in the decorating part, I've personally found that the hat becomes much more visually captivating with the delicate touch of 1 mm quilling flowers. But I will skip the quilling process of these flowers here, because I have already uploaded a full tutorial about them. I will share the link at the end of this video. As this hat will be a wall decoration, I will frame it with a huge shadow box. And for the background, I will use this printed sheet of paper. And this is the final look of my quilling hat in a frame. I'm pretty happy about it. If you also enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And now here's the video tutorial of my 1 mm quilling flowers for beginners. Just click right here. Thank you for watching and happy quilling!